Ashley, listen, thanks for your time in advance for today. Okay.
Yes.
It's obviously for us, it's a new financial year. You're essentially my first meeting of the year as well. So
Right.
it's hard as we mean to carry on.
Crazy. I can't believe actually that it's the 1st of July, as I'm sure listeners are exactly the same. Where did the year go? How did we get here, essentially?
Yes, I know it goes around quicker and quicker all the time. We talk about that a lot, actually. But listen, ultimately, we're really keen to hear your story. Obviously, you've just touched on a couple of interesting points there.
Mm.
But yeah, share with us who Ashley Hoult is.
Yes, and actually, when the outtake kind of happened, that part one, so to speak, I actually pointed out that I've got myself as Ashley Hoult here, but a lot of people will know me as Ashley ALSADIE. So Holt's my maiden name, ALSADIE is my married name, which I kind of rebranded 2 years ago. But who am I? Well, I would say from a business perspective, if we're honing in on this, I'm really known as the cold calling queen. And I love that. It's self-proclaimed, obviously, but I have made my forte cold calling my career in essence. And I love doing it. I think people think I'm crazy when I say that because I started, out in corporate sales after graduating university doing public relations and marketing, moved into the world of corporate sales and realized that I loved that sales grunt work and nobody else in the team did. They all wanted the conversion side of things, nurturing clients, but there was no way they were going to pick up the phone. So I really identified that as a gap in the market. I thought, well, if I love this and no one else does, maybe I could make a good business out of this. So fast forward, well, I jumped in the deep end, I should say, in 2011. So July 2011, jumped in the deep end, started cold calling companies I wanted to work with. And quite quickly, we started to rapidly grow from there. So fast forward to now, I've got a team of callers that are probably as rare and crazy as me because they love this art. And we've cold called for hundreds of companies all around Australia. So I still love what I do.
Love it. Okay, right. So you're definitely talking my language now. I also do sales training,
I love it.
and I've got a book that's coming out soon, which I will touch on a little bit actually. Not
Yes.
not for self promotion purposes, but I want to test your opinion on something because I think you're in a very good position to give me some pushback at least. Okay.
Yes.
Um, but okay, all right. But you also did the acting as well.
That's right.
What came first, the acting or the sales?
The acting definitely came first. And I love that you've asked this question because quite often people will say to me, well, why do you think you love cold calling? Why do you think you're great at sales? And aside from the fact that, look, I've got those traits of, personability, love talking to people, having conversations, I really do put a lot back to that acting and that performance background because, I think there's a perception that actors fake it, they're not really being true to who they are. But I would actually argue against that. Every performance I ever did, every class or course I ever did, you really had to bring an element of truth to the scene. You had to bring a part of you. And so I would say sales is very similar. We've got to be genuine, we've got to be authentic, but we also have to almost perform in a sense every time we pick up the phone or every time we walk into a sales meeting. So yeah, the acting came first. I think a lot of it gave me the skill set to be a great salesperson as well. So yeah.
And I do think that's right. When you see the good method actors out there, that are out there, that they you can see they really submerge themselves in it. They're almost like they go native. But it is to do that, you need to go deeper down to get that little bit of devil in you or a little bit of this out of you. So
Yeah.
bring it to the surface is very convincing because it's essentially part of themselves because they've reinvented themselves. And we do this every day. We wear different hats. You could be sort of having an argument and having a big family hoo-ha and all this stuff going on, and then the Queen knocks at your door. You're like, "Oh, hello, how you doing?" And you're being polite and proper, coming for a cup of tea.
Exactly.
We can switch for the dynamic constantly,
Yes.
which is interesting. Okay, all right. So, first question for you then, relating
Mm.
to the cold calling. Why
Yeah.
do people dislike cold calling?
Oh, why do they like it? Well, this
Or
is a
dislike
massive
it?
question.
Dislike it.
Dislike it, I should say, sorry. This is such a massive question. I think there's so many elements to that. And actually, Tom, we have a lot of synergy here because I have ended up doing a lot of sales training in this field as well. Because when the Promo Donna, which is my cold calling business, started to kind of evolve, I had a lot of people approach me and say, look, Ash, you do this every day, you do it well. Could you teach me how to do this more effectively? And I bring that up because, I had to then hone in on, well, why are they hesitating to pick up the phone? Why don't they like this? And I think number one, it's the human psychology behind it all, right? It's that fear of rejection. It's the I'm putting myself out there and I'm going to have to do a pitch in about 10 to 15 seconds to capture someone's interest. And what if they knock me back? What if they don't want what I'm offering? What if they don't like me? So I think the human psychology element is a big part of it. And I'm also going to go out on a limb and say, and it might be a bit controversial for some, and maybe some won't like me saying this, but I think that there's also a lot of options out there to hide away from making those calls and picking up the phone. So you would probably know, like in LinkedIn world, there was a big debate happening, I would say probably more so years ago, that was like cold calling's dead, social media is here, the online world is here, no one's picking up the phone anymore. But I would argue, well, that's not true. People crave human to human contact more than ever before. So people need to be picking up the phone. But as I'm kind of saying, I think another reason people dislike it is, they see there's so many more options where they can hide behind their computer screen so they don't have to pick up the phone. So yeah, I think that kind of answers it. I think it's the human psychology element. And yeah, no, there's too many other excuses as to why you shouldn't pick up the phone.
I agree. So if you was to ask, I've asked me the same question, I would have definitely picked the fear of rejection. Fear of rejection is what puts most people off asking any question. Okay.
Yes.
It's not asking out the person you really fancy or something.
Yeah.
All those difficult questions which have some weight behind them. Okay, the
Yeah.
fear of the no prevents the opportunity being taken or explored in the first place.
Yes.
And that continues. So maybe you've done that cold call. It's not so much a cold call anymore, but then you're not closing, and it continues. So there's lessons to be learned from that as well.
Yes.
With the latter part, obviously there is many different options now to have that first, second communication.
Mm.
People are reverting that way. That's why we get mass emails and so forth, and omni-channel conversations, and the world's going that way for sure.
Yeah.
But what I like about that is when they say it's the death of the cold call, because of that, it makes the cold call more effective. Okay.
100%. Yeah.
You got it when it's almost like getting post which isn't a bill anymore. It's so exciting. It's like, great, what is it? Who's it from? The email has no wow factor, but a physical post does.
Yes. That's exactly right. And we would say that to our clients as well. We would say, for sure, I believe in kind of a holistic approach where you're still using online methods and you're still, doing email campaigns. Perhaps you're sending out some hard copy information, as you said, to kind of spark people's interest. But you've got to also have, as I said earlier, that human element, because at the end of the day, people just want real conversations with genuine people. And also, I would say, it's the most direct and effective way to generate results, because not only will you find those opportunities, but you'll get direct feedback from your market. I know so many people that do email campaigns. I think the success rate is about 2%. So for every 100 emails you send out, if you get 2 responses, that's great. But I then also argue, well, that's not to say that the other 98% weren't interested. It's usually that someone sees your email, goes, oh, that looks quite interesting. But then life happens, business happens, they get sidetracked. And it's only if you actually picked up the phone and said, hey, I sent you an email, that they would probably say, oh, yeah, I did see that. And I was meaning to get in touch with you, but got too busy. So the success rate can increase for all those other campaigns too, if you actually just pick up the phone and talk to someone.
Exactly, and all those different mediums, you almost get a slightly different persona, but you definitely get a different behaviour. I remember there's a sketch that Michael McIntyre, the comedian, does where he compares a normal one-on-one conversation to a one-on-one text.
Yes.
I don't know,
Yes.
it's brilliant. But a text compared to an email, the response rate is much higher, and the
Yeah.
response time is a lot shorter. Okay,
Yeah.
and essentially it's the same medium in many respects, you know. But if you go
Mhm.
across the mall, obviously you can't beat a good conversation. And even on the phone, dare I say, we're missing some cues. We know when someone's smiling on the phone or when they're concentrating on something else. But face to face, the human
Yeah.
interaction, that's still king.
Yes.
Be able to shake someone's hand, pick up on the body language cues and that. But a cold call is by design exactly that. You're not going to have that face to face unless you take that step first.
Yes, and you know, I love that you've raised this. I mean, in part of some of my training that I do, I talk about like the communication model. And as you said, it's actually broken down to 7% of communication is words, 38% is tonality, and 55% is physiology, so body language. So when you're on the phones, you've actually only got 7 plus 38%, right? So you really can only use words and your tonality. And that's something I'm so passionate about when I do my training is how can we, teaching people how can we build rapport from those things. And there definitely are ways. I mean, that's why we've been running, I've been running the business and generating results consistently with my team for as long as we have, because I think we have that ability to not only use techniques to kind of build rapport, but also listen out for cues or ways that we can connect with people over the phone. It's definitely an art form, that's for sure.
And it's an art form that everybody can do. So I remember I used to have call centers in Spain. Okay, so
Yeah.
everybody with the retirees and people that are working holidays and what have you. And unless you want to work in a bar, which is saturated anyway, if people need some money or they needed work out of boredom, whatever the case may be, then the only option they had was work in a call center like mine. So we
Yeah.
had people, we had retirees, we had police officers, we had you name it, all sorts in there. And the last thing they ever wanted to do was work in a call center. They hated it. They'd come in, I'd get
Yeah.
there, or I'd get to the level, we'd get the enjoyment, and they loved it. And they'd share their stories. Well, actually, I'm a police officer. Did you know?
Yes.
and
I
it,
love
and
that.
I really enjoyed doing that. And it took the muddiness away from the word sales and made it a life skill. Okay, so
Mhm.
transferable from job to job, career to career, and just in your personal life. It's really important to be able to communicate accurately.
Isn't it? Do you know, and I love this topic. Like I'm again, like a passion of mine is probably to kind of, show people how everyone's a salesperson. Like that's
Mm.
my belief. Quite often, if I'm doing a presentation, I'll say, there's those people that are like, oh, I'm not in sales, like my title's not sales. I'm not a salesperson. And I point out that I think everyone in the business, whether you are a receptionist right through to the CEO, whoever's, interacting with clients, you are selling to some extent. And then, as you said, you even step away from the business side of things, as a mum, because I've got 2 daughters, I have to sell to them to eat their vegetables every night, right? That's a power of negotiation. So if people can hone these skills, if they can learn the art of a great conversation, they can learn the art of rapport building and also, overcoming objections and things like that, it makes life so much easier, I think.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with that. And as I already know, there's going to be a second podcast conversation between us two because
Yes.
I've opened up a whole load of other questions, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not too sure how many hours we have spare in a day. You
I know
know,
we could talk about this all day, couldn't
but the
we?
parenting is an interesting one, actually. With the greens and what have you, and how you can how to use your sales skills for the kids and to make it their idea, if you like.
And actually, I tell you what, I would love that, Tom, because we when we opened up, you said, do you want to go with this? Is there anywhere you don't want to go? But something that I love talking about and sharing is talking about parenting, and something I could delve into, which again we're saying it could be hours long, so maybe we make a second one. Is my father was really passionate about not only parenting, but he was the one that introduced me into a lot of personal development. So had me read like Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within when I was like 14, taught me all about kind of visualization and manifestation and goal setting. And again, I attribute so much of my success today to those teachings. Again, when I do my training, even for sales, the thing I kick off everything with is mastering your mindset. Because you probably know as well as a sales trainer, like if you can't master your mindset when it comes to sales, the bottom line is you won't get the results you want. It's as simple as that. And so, yes, we could talk all day about how not only does it influence our mindset, influence our sales ability, but us in every element of life, parenting, relationships, whatever. So yeah, I would love
And
to do
that's
that.
that's the litmus test. Well, okay, we've got it recorded proof that you want to come back and have another conversation with me.
I'm there. I'm there.
Okay, so here's my challenging question for you then. So for those who may or may not know, the models of sales go in an evolution as like anything else, like brands and so forth. Okay, so it's
Mm,
gone from relationship sales into solution sales into change sales. Don't need to go into that. In my opinion, Australia is still stuck in the relationship sales. That's still at that point. Okay.
yeah,
UK, US, and similar countries are more in the challenger model. Okay.
yes,
But they've moved out from there.
yeah.
Okay. But people don't know really where they've gone. They haven't coined, as far as I'm aware, the next model.
Ooh, okay.
Where do you think it's gone? If it's moved out the challenger model, okay,
Yes.
where would you say the world of sales has moved into?
Oh my gosh, what a great question. This is a tough one because, yes, I agree with you, by the way, that I think in Australia, we're still definitely kind of in that relationship solution selling model. There's got to be, some, if we're kind of coining a term, for where sales is going or where it's already kind of arrived in other countries, there's got to be some kind of technological aspect to it, doesn't it? Because, we can't not acknowledge the fact that there's also other things influencing our sales these days, like AI and the like. So that's kind of where I'm going. I don't know, like there's got to be some term around that and how people are utilizing that. But also, I mean, I would also go as far as saying, I think there's always going to be that element of solution selling and relationship selling, though, like I would still say that that's never going to really change at the end of the day, in my mind. It's just going to have other factors influencing it. Does that kind of answer your question?
It does. I put you on the back foot there, so my apologies. So when I said I was writing a book, its original
Mm,
purpose was to call out where I think it's going. I haven't yet
mm,
named it, but the more it goes on and the less I've written the book, the
yes,
more it compounds it. So what I actually feel it's done, I think
yes.
it's looped back to relationship sales, but
Uh-huh.
reinvented relationship sales.
Yes. Well,
So
maybe we're on the same kind of page there then.
you're
Yeah.
right. You're right because technology has affected it. Okay, all those things affected. So technology is where solution sales gets debunked because obviously people know what they need because it's
Yeah.
easy to have that information at hand. The AI has reinforced it somewhat, but what's happened is people don't like chat bot. People know where something's generated. Okay,
Yes.
people like the human interaction, like you've been compounding.
Yes.
If they like everything to be not to be disingenuous. It has
Yes.
to be real. Okay.
Yes.
And my to reinforce this point, when I do an email mailer, I'm quite dyslexic and I do errors in my emails a lot.
Yes.
And I can't see them. Doesn't matter how many times I look at it, I can't see it until after I've sent it.
Yes.
But my replies on my errors are through the roof and people love it. Because
Mm.
okay. Whereas if it's polished and pleasant, it could be done. It's a bit too robotic in some
Yes.
aspects. So it's almost like I could put the area in there on purpose now, just for marketing and sales reasons. Those little areas, people like people to have that little stumble and turn it into a dance.
Yes, it's real and it's authentic, isn't it?
Mm. So
Yeah.
that so the impact of technology and generative AI has just reminded us, hold on a minute, and even COVID in some respects, hold on a minute, we quite like the human, the human state, if you like.
Yes, and I couldn't agree more. And I think that almost comes back to what I was saying with that, the online space growing. I also say that I do believe, yes, COVID and kind of the lockdowns allowed the Promo Donna as a business to grow even more, because I suddenly realized people are like sitting at home, they're not allowed in their offices anymore, and they're wanting someone to call them and connect with them. So our results were like kind of through the roof and have continued to increase, because as you said, people are realizing more and more, no, I don't want to sit on the phone to an automated message or a robot or something like that. I want to actually talk to someone. So I agree with you. And I connect too with what you were saying about your emails. I'm actually like, I'm taking part. I love speaking at events and things like that, which is probably no surprise for everyone. And I've got an event that I'm speaking at with some other speakers up and coming. The reason I bring it up is because we did that. We tweaked our emails. So we used to send out these blanket emails as a promotion, which was, come to our event. This is what it's all about, and it was very long winded, very polished. And then one of the event organizers, because I've done it a number of times, said, maybe we tweak it and just make it really real and just send them this really short email that's basically like, I'm speaking at an event. I'd love you to come. Do you want a ticket? It was just very simple. And our results went through the roof, because I think number one, people thought, yeah, they're not waffling on and it's not this like robotic polished version. And secondly, they're being really personal by reaching out and saying, hey, I'd love you to join me. And that's created results. So a great takeaway for listeners, I definitely think.
Yeah, and I think that too, and that also talks to the shortened attention span, which is shrinking constantly, but also a bit of an acknowledgement that I respect your time.
Mm.
I don't expect you to be so involved if I'm doing it. You're going to read the War and Peace. Get to the point, make it personal, love it.
Yeah. And it's the same with cold calling to this day, right? Like we always had that need to be short, sharp, clear and concise when we pick up the phone and do our pitch, because people are so busy. But it's more and more these days. You've got to be really respectful that people are so busy more than ever. And so yeah, that's one of the key things when I do my training on kind of the pitch and the cold call. It's, you've got to have something really compelling, and also let's not forget the what's in it for them. Don't make it about yourself, make it about, how are you going to help them? And you've got to capture that interest very quickly.
And those rules, which go back to human psychology again, okay, refer to, you can see this in SEO as well, for example. So when people go and create their SEO, so their keywords for their website and other digital marketing components, okay, they tend to write, well, I am this, I am a recruiter, I am this, I'm this, I'm a
Yeah.
sales coach, whatever, okay.
Yeah.
But what they forget to do prior to doing this is to verify what people are actually searching for, to put yourself in the other person's shoes, your ideal customer's
Mhm.
shoes, okay, and actually type something different from the other side of the fence a
Yeah.
lot of the time. So, and the more we put ourselves in their shoes, we're going to nail it. That's it.
Yeah.
If you're just coming from a position of me, you're gonna, people are going to pick up on that.
Oh, definitely. And it's one of the biggest things, like when a promote on a client starts with us, because we're going to represent them on the phone. We run this workshop to really pick their brain and understand who they are, what they do. And it's so common that when I say, tell me a little bit about yourself, give me your pitch. It's all, this is why we're great. We're so fantastic. We've been years in business, da, 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 da. And then I'll always say, let's cut it there. How do you help your clients? What's in it for them? And quite often, they have to really think about it. But the simplest way of doing it is think about how you help your current clientele? You know, why did they sign with you? What were their points of pain? What were their challenges? And how do you overcome that? And that's what you've got to hone in on, more than how many awards you've won, for example.
Exactly. And we could talk to this quite a bit, because it's always about where you are here and now, what you offer to the future, rather than looking backwards and what have you. So,
Yeah.
all right, okay. Listen, I'm definitely going to invite you back. I'll probably speak to you again tomorrow. Let's do it straight away. But for now, okay, let's say what you're saying and you're sharing with us to this point. Okay, if
Yep.
people resonate with what you're saying, how can they find you? How can they contact you?
Well, I am in many places. I'm online a lot. One thing I would say is definitely reach out and connect on LinkedIn. I'm a big user of that platform. I love it. And here's a fun fact for everyone. This might entice people to actually connect with me and go and check out my profile, because I actually have this real passion for creating TikToks so that sales kind of has a fun side to it. And what do I mean by that? So again, I've probably caused some intrigue. You'll have to go check them out. But basically, I bring that performance element, Tom. So we talked about my acting background. I like to do a lot of voiceovers. So let's say, like just this morning, I filmed one and it was Wolf of Wall Street. So I was pretending to be Jordan Belfort, because let's face it, you know, every salesperson loves that movie. And it's him when he's doing a pitch. And so I'll do the voiceover, I'll post it. And then I like to share some sales theory with it. So it kind of, you know, has that element of a bit of fun, but also giving you some education. So that's probably the best way to connect. You'll find out a bit about me, a bit about the business. And if you do want to reach out and have a conversation or a meeting, you can do that via my direct messages. So yeah.
Love it. I'm sure you'll get a big fewer people coming in to have a conversation with you. So, or
Love it.
maybe they can cold call you.
Look, I would love that, because the fact is, right, you know, I know everyone listening, we get inundated with those LinkedIn messages at times that, you know, are very salesy. And I always say, look, I don't mind them, but I'd much prefer you pick up the phone to do your pitch, because that's how I think we should connect with everyone. So yeah, I welcome all LinkedIn messages, but also all cold calls for sure, Tom.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, listen, thanks a lot for your time. There's lots to unpack there. I'm looking forward to having a conversation again.
Yeah.
Yeah, speak to you soon.
Sounds good. All right. See you later.
Thank you for watching this episode. I hope that you did enjoy it, had lots of takeaways from it. As before, please subscribe below so you can keep on top of any new releases we have. And also, if you would like to have your story told, just reach out with me and I'd love to give you that platform. My best email address is tom@purplepatchconsulting.com. Thank you.